Hello, everyone. I want to say thank you so much for 1,000 subscribers. I had went to bed last night with little over 700 and woke up this morning and the number just grew and kept growing, and suddenly we hit it. We hit it not too long ago. I want to say about an hour or so ago. And it's still going, and I'm super, super proud of that. Which it means a lot to me. And it kind of solidifies some things for me, especially for this channel. So it solidifies the fact that it was never a doubt in my mind that I was going to continue going with this channel. I was always going to keep doing this. As long as I wanted to, as long as people were still here and, wanted that, I was going to keep going. But it just solidifies a few more things, brings some things into light that I feel that now I'm able to do those things. I'll start off this way. So, beginning of the year, I did a 2025 resolutions, and I'm gonna go over those right now with you guys just to show where I'm at, because someone actually asked. Someone asked, "Hey, how are things going? Can you do a update with that?" And I will say yes, absolutely. We'll do that. So I've got my things here, and we'll go over those so far. So first one was lose at least 75 pounds. So for those that don't know, I've struggled with my weight most of my life, and I feel I need to get it under control. I've kept a pretty consistent list of weighing myself in, especially when I go to work, because it's a medical facility, so they have a pretty accurate scale there, and I'm there, multiple times a week. So let me find it. See if I can find it. Oh, come on now. So, beginning of the year, I will say this year hasn't been the greatest yet. I did start going to the gym. I do have a gym membership that slipped up a little while, but I do plan on bringing that back. I started off the year at 383 pounds. Actually, no, 386 pounds. 386.2 pounds, and I've bounced back and forth. I'll say that I have definitely bounced back and forth. Though I will say at the highest in my life, I did weigh over 400 pounds. Currently, right now, as of my last weigh-in, it's 386. So not a whole lot of improvement there. But I've been bouncing back and forth. But there's one thing in my mind that actually is a little bit good to me, and that was consistency. Because when I was weighing myself and checking it out, like I said, I've got literally a log of me weighing myself and whatnot, and it's one of those. I have been around a consistent weight, and it's one of those I can never fully know unless I were to strip naked, but yeah, can't do that at work. So different days, different things affect different things, so you're never fully certain what you weigh. But then let's see, next was moving on to that. I do have a lot of my resolutions tie into each other. I'll say that. So the next two were kind of, I will say these two are, out of all of them, kind of the standalones. There's about 3 standalones. Finishing the rough draft of my book and then finishing the rough draft of my screenplay. Those ones kind of have been put on hold a little bit just because of some stuff with work and with YouTube and whatnot, and just kind of with life, working on different plans and things. But I do plan on getting back to them, and I want to get back to them. The next being the reach 2,500 subscribers on YouTube. We're still working on that, of course. We're, a little under the halfway point at this point. And then, hopefully if we continue going, we'll hit it. We'll actually, I will say I fully believe that we will hit it. The next one just being to continue posting regular content. I've been doing that, I would say, pretty proudly. I've started changing a little bit of the way I edit, putting a little bit more detail into it, more time into it, some more thought into it, hand-picking things a little bit more, and trying to, produce the best content that I think I can make. Next one was get a car. I got a car. So if you didn't know, I'm epileptic, and I didn't have a car or my driver's license for the longest time because when I was 16, literally when I turned 16, that year my seizures picked back up. Seizures which had laid dormant for years. And then, spent time with the neurologist figuring things out, getting different dosages of medications and whatnot right. And then last year I finally got my license, and then last week got a car. Got a car that I've been able to, drive back and forth to work and whatnot myself. I'll say it's nothing fancy. It's just a, as some people would call it, it's a beater with a heater. That's what a lot of people would call it. It's a 2011 Chevrolet Impala. That's just what it is. It's, it's nothing too fancy, nothing, but it works. It works, and I'm happy. Next one being move out of Ohio. That one's, I will say, out of all of them, that seems like the one that is the biggest ask, but at the same time it is my biggest want. And a lot of people will say, hey, what's wrong with Ohio? I don't like Ohio. It's not that. I mean, it is partially that, but it's also, I've been here for, a long time now, most of my life. And, I'm 26. I want to get out and, start living my life and get into my profession that I know. So I've been applying for jobs and whatnot in different places, trying to get down. I'd like to head down south and work down there. I will say I, for a while, did have the thought of moving out to LA and, California. But I will say that's a little unrealistic just because of how expensive it is out there at the current moment, unless I were to suddenly blow up on YouTube or something. But then that would be a whole other can of worms. But I do want to move down south because I like warmer weather and whatnot, and would prefer to be down there. And I've got a friend, specifically, I've got a friend down in Florida who moved down there and is asking, hey, do you want to come move down here? And has been on me since the beginning of the year about that. So I've been looking for jobs down there. And then the last one, pretty simple one. This was actually a very, very simple one that kind of got added on last minute, because I very much was just you know what? I haven't been reading enough. I don't read enough anymore, and I need to get back into that. So I will say that has actually been slacking a little bit recently. I've been slacking a little bit on that. but I have a reason. I have a very specific reason. So when I read, I normally read while I'm at work, like in between patients and whatnot. That's what I'd do. Or, you know, sometimes I would be like reading before bed, those sorts of things, because it's supposed to help shut your brain off a little bit. Beginning of the year, January and February, I will say it did take this much time. I did a rereading of The Silmarillion by J.R.R. Tolkien. If any of you have ever read that, then you're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. That book takes a lot. That book is not just reading. That book is studying. It's a great book. Don't get me wrong. Absolutely love it to death. But it is fully studying. And that was just in the beginning of February. I finished reading The Silmarillion, and then February into March, I read The Green Mile. Which is also an incredible book. It was the first movie to actually make me cry, like, as an adult. Even as a child, I didn't really cry too much at movies, like just the content of movies, but that one actually did make me cry. And then March, I actually did read quite a few books. That was Forrest Gump, Gump and Co. So the two books that started, you know, the Forrest Gump franchise and whatnot, which reading those books and watching the movie, two completely separate experiences, but I fully recommend it. But I do have to say, if you do read it, you have to go into it with a certain mindset. And if you want me to go into, you know, a little book reviews, say that, if you want me to do book reviews, let me know in the comments below and I'll do that. But that is definitely one of those, you have to read it with a certain mindset of, okay, it's set in this time period, so you have to kind of read it with this sort of mind. And then also The Hobbit. In March, I didn't read anything in April, sadly. So the reason why I didn't read anything in April was because I dug out and got kind of attached to my old Game Boy. Absolutely love that thing to death. I've been grinding away on Pokemon Sapphire. That's the only game I own right now. Though I'd like to gather more. I'd like to collect more of those games, because it was just one of those things that makes me happy. You know, it's one of those extra things that really does make me happy. But I will read at least one book this month. I will say that. And if you have suggestions, yeah, go ahead and throw them down in the comments below. None of my book, so like, I haven't picked out like a book each month for like the year. I basically walk over to my bookshelf and go, what am I reading? And then, you know, pick out one and do that. So if you have any suggestions, go ahead. I am mostly a nonfiction reader, I will say that for one. But so when it comes to, so like I said, some of my resolutions did tie into the channel some. So there's different things that I would like to get into, more things with the channel that I would like to, you know, get into to add more content. So if you guys noticed, I started doing those tier lists. I want to get back into those because they're just a fun little funky random thing. That there are some of those, you know, random little ideas that I'd like to do. That sort of thing of trying out random new things that I've never done, or now very specifically, I'll say, I know it's cliche. I don't know if I'd say it's cliche, but it's now that I have a car, I'd like to start making some ghost hunting videos. A lot of people do them. I will say that loads of people do them. I ghost hunt a little bit differently than other people. But I am a firm believer in the paranormal, so I will say that to begin with. So, but if I were to start making those ghost hunting videos, I would, show how I do those things differently, how I, am different than other paranormal investigators. And then, like, there is a whole other channel, sitting and waiting to have content put on it called Wookiee Eats. And it's, there's nothing on said channel right now, but it would be, those sorts of things. Me, trying different things, showing you guys like some random recipes that I like, or trying different recipes, because I love cooking. I mean, I got this way obviously somehow. But some of those other things I'd love to do, outdoorsy videos, show you some things that I know and have learned and whatnot over my years, because it's one of those, hey, I can put them to use. It's helping me put them to use, partially so that I keep those skills, and then, people can also see them and maybe get interested in them and try those sorts of things. Then I will say it's a little bit further down the line. You see the two guitars behind me. You've never seen me play them. I want to get back into learning that. I did start learning guitar when I was a young man. I was barely double digits, honestly. No, I was middle school aged, I want to say, when I started learning guitar, but it just kind of fizzled after a while. I'd like to get back into that and maybe writing some music, maybe doing some covers. I'd love to do that. But if you guys have suggestions for those things, go and put them down in the comments below. I know I've got a growing list of different things that I want to do, that I will put up on, YouTube. But if you have suggestions for them, go and put them down below. If you want to say that, oh, that's an absolutely awful idea, don't do that, put that down in the comments below too, if you want to. I don't care. I mean, that's what I don't like. I don't block comments. I try not to, because in my mind it's it's an open thing, unless it's one of those, it's breaching terms of services and whatnot, or harassing people, those sorts of things. But yeah, go ahead and let me know down in the comments below. Maybe you're a person that's down in Florida that's looking for, or maybe you're another YouTuber that's looking for a video editor. Hi, I'm right here. I need a job. That's what I'm looking for. I'm mainly looking for jobs in video editing and that sort of thing, because that's my wheelhouse at the current moment. But again, thank you so much for 1,000 subscribers. I have way more than 1,000 videos. But there's all new content on the way. New content, if you guys want to, let me know what you guys have in mind, and I'd like to see you try that or do that, or other things. Maybe if you want me to further down the line go, hey, how are you doing on those New Year's resolutions? How are you doing on those? Check in on those. But that's all up to you guys. I will continue to try and post regularly. I'm trying to get back into posting. I will say daily content is a little bit harder to do now that I'm putting more thought into things and editing a little bit more. But I will try and do as best as I can. Otherwise, go ahead and keep sharing the channel around. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't yet, so that we can hit that goal of 2,500 subscribers by the end of the year. Maybe if we hit it earlier, we can extend that goal. We can make it 5,000 or something like that, or further. But I'm all out of time for this video. I talked for way too long, and I will see you in the next video.